Hello, 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 and welcome to Sinister Silhouettes. I am your host, Tasha. For those of you guys who don't know me, I host several podcasts, and I am originally from Gary, Indiana. I'm currently in Houston, Texas. So this case spoke to me because of the region. I am from the area, and I wanted to do my part in raising awareness about Taylor's case. Now, one thing that is deeply heartening to me about Taylor Casey's case at this point is that it is getting national attention because here I am in Houston and I know quite a bit about Taylor. And we're going to do what we can to spread this awareness and help her family bring her home. Um, I'm not gonna hold you guys for too long today because it's a weekend, it's a holiday, the weekend before a holiday, but this is an important discussion to have, and I am going to uh, do my best to tell you Taylor's story. And if you have people that on the ground in the Bahamas, or if you are in the Chicago area, we need you to lift this family up because this is something that is unimaginable. Unimaginable. I could not think, dream, or imagine my child going to do something that they feel called to do and to run into some mishap that causes them to come missing. So, with no further ado, let's get into Taylor's story, shall we? Okay, so Taylor Casey is a vibrant 41-year-old Black woman from Chicago. She vanished without a trace from a yoga retreat in Paradise. And by Paradise, I really mean Paradise. The name of the retreat that she is from that she went missing from is on Paradise Island. So it doesn't get more, it doesn't get more uh, cinematic, I would guess, than that. So we've got a few news stories, which I don't think I put the links in my notes, in the show notes just yet. But if you will look later after the stream, you'll find the links to everything I used to compile this narrative that I'm about to tell you about Taylor. Okay, in early June, Taylor decided that she wanted to go to the Bahamas to a yoga retreat, um, and she disappeared. She's been missing for just about a week at this point, and she was last seen on June 19th in the area of Paradise Island. That's according to the police in the area, the Royal Bahamas Police Force. The search for Casey continued on Tuesday, with authorities searching by ground and with drones, and the police were reporting to local news and international news at this point that there had been no discovery of Taylor. Now, her family said she disappeared and they are deeply concerned for her safety. We're going to see a little bit more from her family and friends a little later in the stream. But Taylor is very loved by her family. Of course she is. We all love our family members, and we do not want, or we only want actually the best for our kids. So, according to a statement released by her family, Taylor has been a dedicated yoga enthusiast for 15 years, and she went on these international journeys to get a better understanding of yoga and to also learn to teach. She wanted to be certified to teach others about her passion. So they said that she's vibrant, that she's caring, and she had these aspirations of further enriching her yoga practice, which is something that she had long and had ambitions to do. Um, and thank you, W. Roth, author. She came in, stopped in before our presentation today to thank me for covering the story. And look, I know I've got a very small audience, but it's something in my spirit, and I have just been compelled to talk about this. I know that I've said it's because of the region, it's because of where I'm from, but something about her story just speaks to me. And it does, again, it does give me hope that we are beginning to pay closer attention to the missing persons cases of people of color, and also of the LGBTQIA community, because Taylor is a woman, but she's a transgender woman. I will not be referring to her as transgender throughout this presentation, because she's living her life fully as a woman, and she's beautiful. She's absolutely stunning. But that is another layer to this mystery. Okay, so when we look at the family's report that they put out, they again talked about her disappearance, talked more about Taylor. So again, people's eyes are on the situation, and hopefully we have a resolution that is not we have some resolution. We don't want this to remain a mystery for years. You think Natalie Holloway, who went missing some years ago on a vacation on an island, and we just, maybe within the last 2 years, I think, got final confirmation of what happened to her. This is a situation where if we get enough awareness and people begin to look, it could be very hard to find her now. But if people begin to look in earnest for Taylor, we may have some resolution for her family so that they can be at peace. Okay, so first, this brings me to our first video clip of the day. I'm going to play this video, and then we are going to talk a little bit more about Taylor as we move forward.
The desperate search continues, but still no sign tonight of a Chicago woman who disappeared last week in the Bahamas.
41-year-old Taylor Casey was attending a yoga retreat when police say she vanished. Her family is now on the island pleading for help for her safe return. And Lexi Suter has the very latest for us. Lexi.
Yeah, Marion and Stephan actually spoke with a friend. As you can imagine, her friends and family are just worried sick. Now, police in the Bahamas say they found a phone belonging to Taylor in the ocean, but still no sign of her.
Really shocked.
That's how Delia Kropp is feeling. She's a longtime friend of Taylor Casey, and she just heard that Taylor disappeared from the Sivananda Ashram yoga retreat on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. Police issued this missing person bulletin announcing Taylor's disappearance. The 41-year-old hasn't been seen since June 19th, over a week ago. Police say her phone, though, has been located.
We're just really concerned that she not drop off the map, and that the authorities do their very, very best to find her.
I connected with another attendee of the yoga retreat, but she wants to remain anonymous. She says she arrived after Taylor disappeared, so she didn't meet her. She says this: while the ashram quickly reported her missing to authorities and were cooperative in their efforts, they did not inform guests staying at their facility of the situation. They still had not made any announcements as of Wednesday, June 26th. That's when I cut my trip short and returned home early out of safety concerns. Leaders of the yoga retreat did post about Taylor's disappearance on Instagram today, though they have not returned our request for comment.
I want all of Chicago, all the world to know that she is very loved and is a wonderful person, that her disappearance is very unlike her. She's not one to just, to disappear.
I did touch base with the U.S. State Department today. They are aware of the missing person report and say officials are working closely with police in the Bahamas. Now, friends are also fundraising online to send more people down to the Bahamas to help with those search efforts. A lot of people working, hoping, praying for a good outcome here.
Not giving
We
up.
certainly hope so, too.
Yeah,
Thanks so
absolutely.
much, Lexi.
Thank you.
So that was a report again from a local TV, NBC Chicago, which is Channel 5. At least I think it's still Channel 5 in Chicago. So that is one of the many reports that I have seen about Taylor as we look for her, as we continue to search for Taylor. And many of us don't have the means to go to the Bahamas to find her. However, we all have the means to talk about her situation, to share the missing person flyers, to donate if you are in a position to do so, to the fundraising efforts in order to send her families and friends over to the Bahamas so that they too can search for Taylor. As soon as I get my stuff together over here, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about. I'm going to share a little bit more about the ashram that she was going to, the ashram that she had become a part of because she wanted to learn more about yoga, or in fact about teaching yoga. So this ashram is on Paradise Island. It's a small island that is connected to downtown Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas, and is joined by these bridges, and the bridges are about a third of a mile long. And Nassau is also on the island of New Providence. Got to get back to my notes. Sorry. And according to people on the ground there's only one way off the island. Now, I am finding out or hearing from other places that there may be other ways to get off this island, but the primary way is by water. And the boat operator who usually drives the ferry, getting people from the island, from one island to the other, that boat operator stated that Taylor was not on any of his trips. There is no record of Taylor leaving the island. So the thought is she's still on the island or she's in the water. Now, neither of these are great prospects because she's not shown up anywhere on land. And if she were able to, at the absolute least, she would have contacted her mother, especially since there's this big search going on for her. And I know that she would not want her mother to worry. So she hasn't contacted her mother, nor has she contacted any of her friends. And we also know that if she's in that water, she likely won't be found alive. So the second possibility actually gained some traction because Casey's phone was reportedly located in the water on June 25th. She apparently had her Find My Friends app on or something of that nature, and the phone was located, but it was located in the water. So that is concerning, but it would give you peace of mind where this part of this mystery has been solved. And then we would have to figure out then next what happened to Taylor. How did she come to be in the water? How did her phone come to be in the water? They also found an address book, and I don't see it reported in a lot of places, but they found an address book that also belonged to Taylor, which would mean that she was separated, the address book in one place, phone in the water, no sign of Taylor. So it is extremely concerning that phone turns up in the water and that address book turned up in a different location. Now, the Royal Bahamas Police Force issued a missing persons alert on June 21st, and they were also conducting searches using drones, using canine units, divers, marine units. While this is certainly heartening to hear, I was drawn to this case after watching a News Nation report from Brian Ensign. Now, in that segment, he was just as surprised as I am that while he was there, there were no search parties underway. Well, no active searches that I could see and that he could see either. So there are possible reasons, of course, none really good, none really serviceable, but there are possible reasons that these ongoing searches are not being conducted. Or there are several reasons. Probably a resort might be hesitant about a full-scale search on their grounds, even for a missing person. One of the things that they would be concerned about is disruption to other guests. See, that large-scale search operation might significantly disrupt the experience of their other guests, and it potentially would lead to complaints and negative reviews. Now, I truly hope that no resort in the world is more concerned about negative reviews than they are about human life. But it has to be spoken. Somebody has to say it. And I'm going to say this quiet part out loud. That some people value money over people. And unfortunately, that is the world that we live in. And resorts will often prioritize guest privacy. A thorough search might involve entering private rooms or areas, and that could be seen as invasive, but it could also be seen as necessary. We definitely would want to search every single inch of that island to include places where guests are staying because we don't know these people. We assume that everybody has a good heart and that nothing negative will be found in the rooms where they're staying, but you don't know until you look. Then these places worry that the media coverage of this missing person case could harm the resort's reputation, especially if it's portrayed as unsafe. And while this yoga retreat, the Sivananda Ashram Yoga Retreat, while it is not necessarily being said that this is an unsafe resort, there are areas around the resort that could potentially be dangerous for anyone. And we'll talk about that just a little bit later. Then there's legal liability. There's a financial impact that people may or may not want to visit this resort anymore if they feel that it's unsafe. So the resort did not inform some of the guests. In fact, most of the guests were not informed that someone was missing off of the island. That also, just them not informing people, created a bit of a panic in some of the guests, and they left early. So these resorts are worried about the financial impact of a search operation. And then they're scared that you might find a body, or if we never find Taylor, which God forbid that were to be the case, but if we never find Taylor, they feel that I guess that stink will follow them. The stink of having a person come up missing, the stink of having a serious crime committed on their property. Even if it's unrelated to a death, it's just a missing persons report. They do not want that to follow them, their reputation. And they also want to control the narrative too. They want to be able to say, okay, we did everything we could, and we're supposed to take them at face value. But as we'll find out later, there are people who are there at the resort at the resort whose boots are on the ground who say that they think a little bit more could be done. So while these factors might influence a resort's decision making, it's important to say that in these cases of missing persons, cooperating fully with the authorities is usually the best course of action. Cooperating fully with the family, keeping your guests informed, all of those things are ethically important, but it's also legally important to do that. The safety and well-being of your guests should be your top priority. But in many ways, it seems that that's not the case. And we are going to take a look at an example right now together.
No roads to get there here on Paradise.
I don't know why it started in the wrong place, but I'm going to fix that. I'm sorry.
It's not easy to get to the Sivanandra ashram, the yoga retreat where Taylor Casey was staying. There's really no roads to get there here on Paradise Island, on this part of the island. So the only way that we could find is to walk down the beach. So we made it to the ashram where she was staying. You can see it's pretty quiet right now, but there are people still staying here. There's some smaller buildings on this side. There's larger buildings over here. And it's very, very close to the Atlantis Resort. Those big pink buildings in the distance. That's a big, big tourism destination here on Paradise Island.
And I
It's not
want
easy to get
think
to this.
about that for just a second, what he just said, that there is other places where people are staying, and that it's not necessarily an indictment to the resort that Taylor was staying at that she's come up missing, because there are other places on the island where she could have gotten to. As Brian Ensign stated, a lot of it is walkable, even though it's a long walk. But these are people who are there, and they are healthy people. Most of them, you can tell that they're into yoga. They're healthier people, and many of them would be able to walk. And I'm almost 100% sure that Taylor would have been able to make the walk up and down the beach to get to different places if she wanted a change of scenery for a little while. So that's something to keep in mind.
And so the only way that we could find is to walk down the beach. So we made it to the ashram where she was staying. You can see it's pretty quiet right now, but there are people still staying here. There's some smaller buildings on this side. There's larger buildings over here. And it's very, very close to the Atlantis Resort. Those big pink buildings in the distance. That's a big, big tourism destination here on Paradise Island.
I'm not seeing anybody searching on the beach.
Yeah, there is
Or all
nobody
around.
searching. No, I haven't seen anybody searching either. That's why I was surprised you didn't say. I was thinking there'd be like flyers.
Oh, well, you can go in there.
Hi. Do you know have anything new about the missing woman, Taylor Casey? No? Okay.
We've heard nothing, so you won't get any information from us this evening.
Can I leave my card? Is that okay? My business card?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing that struck me the most was that there were no posters out there of this missing woman. And I get it. Look, it's obviously a business and they're probably nervous about scaring the guests. But I guess I was expecting people to at least know that there was a missing woman and that there would be some posters there. And there were none from what we could tell. I've been now since talking to people who are staying there and who have been staying there. They've been getting in touch with me through Twitter. And some women that I met have actually left since all of this started, just upset that they weren't informed that there was a missing person, and upset, they say this whole resort prides itself on community and belonging, and they just felt like with the values that they have, that they preach there, that there should have been some kind of prayer circle or something about this missing woman. And you're going to hear from her family in a second. Her family is now here on the ground. I just interviewed them here in the Bahamas. They came.
Okay, so we learned a couple of things there. We learned that Taylor's family has made it from Chicago, family and friends, her mother and a few friends. We also learned that, again, about the backlash and the people who feel like they have been put in harm's way by this resort because they're not informing people that there is a missing person. Um, Again, it could be anybody. So now, literally, everyone should be a suspect. And I know that sounds terrible. Tasha, these people are on vacation. Some of those people are on vacation. Others know that island up one side and down the other. So you have to ask yourself, could she have met with foul play from one of the other guests, or could she have met with foul play from one of the locals? But no matter what, the guests at that resort should have been alerted that there was a missing person, that somebody was not where they were supposed to be. And let me see. Give me just, nope, I can't do that. Okay. So yeah, for all we know, there's a serial killer on the loose. For that's, and this me being dramatic, but for all we know, there's a serial killer on the loose. Or we could just have heightened awareness. If we know someone is missing, we might be looking for that person. If we know someone is missing, we may be a little more careful ourselves. It was just un, it's not a good look for any business, especially a hospitality-based business, to place their to place people in harm's way. It's not a good look. Um, Gosh,
In terms of Taylor's,
I cannot get this thing to do what I want. Lord have mercy. You talk about somebody just having some technical difficulties. I'm gonna fix it, and then I'll be right back. I'm going to fix it. So to get a little bit more acquainted with what they're talking about as far as the layout of this island, take a look at a couple of the views. So this is an aerial view of the island. And as you can see, and I don't know if you can see my cursor, but at the upper left on the screen, that is where the resort is. You'll see some writing and a little patch of land there. That is where the resort is. As you can see, very close to the beach. There is a very woody area over here. And I am learning from reading other people's comments that that does contain a way to walk off this island, but you would have to pretty much know that it's there to use this strip of land. And they said it's like a little dirt road going through these woods, this wooded area that will get you off the island if you walk long enough. Um, it's unsure. It's not clear whether Taylor knew about that road. And even if she did, would she travel that road through that wooded area alone? And most women would not. I am not Goldilocks. I'm not looking for three bears. I am not Red Riding Hood. I'm not taking a basket of food to my grandparents. So I would not be walking through the woods, not especially not alone. But that is, I have to bring it up because it is a possibility that she stumbled upon that road and tried to travel it. We're going to take a look at, again, another view, overhead view of that area. And thanks to the people on the subreddit, because they're, again, I'm going to post all of these links on my social medias, and I'm going to put them in the show notes when this stream is over, it just slipped me to do it first. So I apologize for not having it there for you from the first place. But a lot of people are interacting with this case, and people who know that that it's possible to get off of this island without getting on a boat. Now, authorities say that there's no information yet indicating that a crime has been committed. But in my opinion, the phone in the water may be indication of a terrible accident or some form of foul play. We also have this travel advisory from the U.S. State Department. The U.S. State Department advises travelers to exercise increased caution in the Bahamas due to crime. The majority of crime occurs on New Providence, which is Nassau, and the Grand Bahama, which is the Freeport Islands. So Nassau, Freeport are not the safest places for tourists. And they recommend that you practice increased vigilance, especially in an area called the Over the Hill area of Nassau, and also at these short-term vacation rental properties, because these properties a lot of time won't have private security, and that there has been an uptick. And this is not a recent uptick. This has been for a couple of years, but there's been an uptick in violent crime, such as burglaries, armed robberies, sexual assaults. All of those occur in both tourist and non-tourist areas. So this is coming back to the gender of Taylor. Taylor is a transgender woman, and we know that there are an abundance of people who harbor deep psychological issues when it comes to accepting transgender women or men. And maybe because she presents as a very beautiful woman, someone got upset that they learned that she was transgender. This is just me spitballing. Please, don't take this anywhere to the bank or no place, because you can't cash it. This is just my opinion. That is another angle to look at this from, that she could have been the victim of a hate crime. As horrible as that is, and we don't want that to be the case, but there is that possibility. So there also has been an awareness brought by the U.S. Embassy security alert that regards a high number of murders in Nassau. So they're basically saying exercise caution, especially at night. Be aware of your surroundings. Do not resist robbery attempts, and review your personal security plans. The U.S. State Department has been issuing travel advisories for the Bahamas for many years, and the level of caution has varied over time. I think right now we are at a level 2, but it could go up and down, and that's not good. So while the specific time period is not clear of the initial advisory, you still need to exercise caution when we leave the country. And a lot of us, when we go on vacation, we get vacation brain, which is we think we're safe because we're on vacation. We're in some place visiting, and we think that we're safe. Even for me, when I first moved to this area of Houston, now this was a brand new area for me. But I used to walk this area up and down at night all over until I started paying attention to the news. It's very important, because I thought I was safe. Just because I was in a new place, I didn't think about all of the what ifs that I would have thought about if I were still in Gary, Indiana. So those are things that we do need to make sure that we keep top of the mind awareness of when we leave the country. And that's even if we were to get on a plane right now and go to the Bahamas and go search for Taylor Casey. we would still have to uphold the same amount of vigilance that I'm talking about right now for two reasons. And reason number one is because the U.S. State Department said so, duh. And reason number two is because we've got a missing woman on this island. We don't know where she is, and it could very well be that she has been harmed. So again, you're walking into the lion's den. So again, be careful when we leave the country, and be careful if you're going to the Bahamas, if you're going anywhere, to be honest. Okay, so now we're going to hear a little from her mom. Casey's her name is Taylor Casey, and I keep calling her Casey. Taylor's family has traveled to the Bahamas to work with the authorities in this search effort. And now, her mom, when she talks about her, and we're not going to play the entire interview again, you can find this on the News Nation YouTube channel. Very good source of information, specifically this 20-minute segment that they did concerning Taylor Casey. We're going to listen to her mom, and hopefully this one starts where it's supposed to.
Safe. They urge you not to leave the ashram at all, but people leave because there's no coffee there. Informed about what happened. In terms of Taylor's family, Taylor's mom is now here in the Bahamas. She's come with a contingent of Taylor's friends from Chicago to dig for answers, to try to figure out what happened to her daughter. I just interviewed her. Take a look at this. Tell me a little bit about your daughter. I was telling you online, there's so many messages of people who know her and love her.
Yeah, do you have time? Because it's gonna no, my daughter is wonderful. Taylor is just absolutely marvelous, loving, caring, kind, just care about people, stands for justice, stands for right, just want people to be treated fairly. And Taylor is the pillar of our family. They say I am, but I'm not. It's Taylor. It's Taylor.
And she loves yoga?
Loves yoga. That's why she came here. That's why Taylor came to the Savannah and Sivananda yoga retreat to learn.
So her mom, first and foremost, is a beautiful woman herself in her own right. Does not, well, Taylor doesn't look 41, and her mom doesn't look like she's old enough to have no 41-year-old daughter, but I digress. That's just me trying to give this lady her flowers, because she's beautiful.
Learn how to come and be instructor. Taylor not only wanted to just do it, now Taylor wants to teach it and teach me some moves. Taylor said, Mom, I'm coming home and show you some moves. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Was she looking
Mama
forward to
is
it?
trying
Like,
to,
was this a trip she had been talking?
I don't know if it's resonating. Mama is trying to hold it together as she talks about her daughter. You can tell that she is on the verge of breaking up, but she is trying to hold it together so she could talk to Brian Enton. We'll also notice that when she refers to Taylor, she refers to Taylor by her name. She doesn't go into the she, he, and this could potentially be just a mama who's unused to their child's new gender, and that she is making sure that she says the right thing while she's speaking with Brian Enton. Because, old habits may die hard. And I don't know how long she's been an out trans person, but her mom may still be finding her way around not calling her him, he, calling her she, her, and thus she just says, I know how I can get away with this without making a mistake. I'll just keep saying her name. And it works for me, but I think that's why it almost sounds unnatural that she keeps saying her name over and over, but I get it. I got it. We're good.
About
Absolutely. for months before Taylor even came here. I'm going to do the yoga, and I was concerned then that Taylor decided to come by Taylor's self. But, yeah.
And Taylor was at the yoga retreat center. Taylor was not, wandering around the Bahamas by herself. Taylor was at the yoga retreat, had arrived on June 3rd,
Yes.
and then was reported missing on June 20th. And so Taylor, throughout that time, had been with the other participants of the yoga teacher training at Sivananda.
And how was it going? Had you been in touch?
Yes. Taylor would call me and send me pictures. Taylor seemed like really happy at the place, and send me pictures of Taylor in the water and explaining to me about the yoga and what Taylor was going to teach me.
And also, she said Taylor was happy here at the resort. There will later be an example of maybe she didn't want mama to worry, or maybe this other guest got this story wrong. But either way, there is a contradictory statement from another guest that we will get to in just a moment.
Taylor got here. Yeah, it seemed to be.
So this stupid, my computer, everything is stupid, or it's user error. It could just be user error, right? Could just be that I'm stupid. I cut the interview off in the middle because I suck. But we got the gist. Her mom is saying, hey, as far as I knew, Taylor was happy here. Taylor was looking forward to coming home and teaching others, and more importantly, teaching her mother some yoga moves. Taylor had been to other retreats, other type of resorts where she learned some yoga, and she was going to add this to her toolbox of ways to teach yoga. There's a Facebook page. That Facebook page is called Find Taylor Casey. We're going to share that real quick. Find Taylor Casey. They have community support. There are 804 members of that group, and you can look and see where people have commented and people have added their information. In fact, here's somebody right here. Hello, here are my 2 cents now. This is from Lori Abila. I would like to acknowledge the team and the teamwork of all of you working behind the scenes. The reach of this campaign to find Taylor extended all the way to India. She saw a news article about it, which is huge because, again, the yoga community is huge, but then it's also close. So if you are fully active within the yoga community, it's almost like a sisterhood or brotherhood, a family, which is why it was really shocking that this resort did not seem to be doing more to help locate Taylor. It's because everybody gets so close. You all have similar goals. You got this same passion. It's like being a fan of a sport. If you're a basketball player, there's a huge community. If you're a football fan, there's a huge community. If you like certain kinds of music or dance, huge communities. Yoga is that type of community, but because of the spiritual nature of yoga, you expect for people to treat each other as sisters and brothers in this kind of community. Also, authorities are asking that if you have any information, you contact the Royal Bahamas Police Force or Crime Stoppers. Now, I don't know how far this episode, this video, this live stream, I don't know how far it's going to reach. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know how far it's going to reach. However, suppose it gets all the way to the Bahamas. If you've got information, go to the Royal Bahamas Police Force, contact Crime Stoppers. If you know something, if you saw something, say something. That is the big takeaway in this. We also we're going to take another look because again, it looks overhead, aerial view. It looks like there is one way. You see these little pathways coming off of the right of the island or the left of the island, the left side of the island. You know, I don't know east, west, north, south. Don't start me. But it appears that there is walking bridges to get off of the island, which means Taylor could have gotten off of the island, yes, but anybody else could have gotten onto the island, especially if they know that these trails exist. Many of our the people who were visiting, the guests of the resort, many of them say, hey, there's only one way off of the island. They think that the only way to get on and off is via boat. But a local might know, hey, it's not just the only way. I can get on this island anytime I want to. And you have to also think people work on this freaking island. They know how to get around if they wanted to. So that's just another thing to keep in account that she could potentially have. They want us to believe that she could have potentially left the island, and then she could have also somebody else could have gotten on the island and off of the island with nobody knowing. We don't know what these surveillance systems and that type of thing looks like on this island, but it's a potential that a person could have moved on and off and nobody knew about it. So while this island needs to be locked down, and I don't mean keeping people and holding folks hostage and that kind of thing, I mean every area of this island, every inch of it needs to be searched. And then you need to turn your attention to people who may or may not have come and gone from this island, because it's clear that Taylor didn't leave this island. She's someplace on the island. And thank you, Kat. Thank you for your comment. There's also, I talked about the Facebook group, and there's also a subreddit. Again, I'm going to be sharing all of those links, but the subreddit gave me quite a bit of information, and it was information that you would only get from some people who have visited this resort. So Sneeko McBrain, which, okay, we know that on Reddit, everybody's name is weird. Mine is weird too. But this person said, I'm so sad to hear this news. I haven't been since 2019. So please, anyone update if the info has changed. I hope this helps. This individual says it's important to note that though the public usually comes to and from the retreat on a boat, there is accessibility through little dirt or gravel road on the far right side of the property when looking toward the beach. So you can kind of see it on the map. And again, we took a look and we could see these little tiny roads moving through that area. Where was I? So on the right side of the property, you can see it on the map. This individual said they've taken a cab from there when they were a karma yogi as part of my job that day. Again, like I said, the yoga community is coming out and they showing out. I just have a problem with the lack of a sharing that the Shivananda retreat has done. I just think that they should have been a little bit more proactive in helping to locate Taylor, especially in those early days. June 18th was the last day that Taylor's mom spoke to her. Taylor missed her class, which she was excited to do, as far as I know. She was excited to do this class, but she missed it on June 19th, and there has been radio silence since. Here we are at June 29th. Is it today? Excuse my, I can't see. I think it's June 29th. So if it's June 29th, you lost a lot of days, because they say that they announced that she may be missing at on the 20th, I believe. But then there's no searching going up and down the beach. There's no missing persons flyers at the resort. Yes, we know that don't look good to a new person coming to the new guest coming to the resort. But who cares? You got one guest missing. You've got people leaving because of your ineptitude and I'm calling it ineptitude, for your ineptitude and not sharing with them that there was a missing person. So, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So when you're in that type of situation, you err on the side of humanity. And humanity would say, you know what? No matter what happens, we need to find this woman. Yes, we need to find this woman. So if you turn right from the Sivananda retreat, looking towards the beach, there's some forest trails and dirt roads just above the beach line that will eventually get you to the Atlantis Resort. We looked and saw the Atlantis Resort a little earlier, which to me just means that is an entirely new set of places that she could be or suspects in her disappearance. And again, this is not saying that I'm not saying that anybody is guilty of anything, but you don't know what you don't look for. So hopefully they are looking at the Atlantis Resort as well. This person said, I know some friends at the ashram who even have walked over the bridge to Nassau. You can also alternatively just take the beach. We saw Brian Ensign do that. You take the beach, turn right, and walk to the Atlantis Resort on the beach. You can see in the News Nation report that clip that I showed you, you can see it's a hell of a walk now, but the walk is, you can do it. It's not something that couldn't be done. So we have to look at that as well. You can, let me see. She says she's personally a female and she didn't feel safe alone on the beach at night. It was super dark, but she did go on the beach at night a couple times with other people, which we don't know. We don't know if Taylor and a few other people hung out on the beach at night and something happened from there. We don't know. We need to know where that cell phone, how that cell phone moved around before it got into the water. Hopefully they have studied the pings, or hopefully there are multiple towers for it to ping from, because her location is how they found the phone. So location should tell me all the movements that she took prior to the phone being found or being lost. So as I can say, we see a lot of different different people are coming out and saying the exact same thing. Some of them are saying, hey, I was there, and a few people say they met. A few people say they met Taylor and that she wasn't 100% happy with the way the class was going. But that again is somebody else who was on the ground who said they spoke with Taylor. So if she was unhappy with how things were going, is it possible that she would try to leave the resort? And in leaving the resort, you can come into contact with a bad actor. Yeah, because there are people saying, hey, she's who was she fraternizing with? Was she experiencing any issues? And then you run into the comments where they say I just left the ashram today, and this is one lady, Noelle. And Noelle has been extremely outspoken on several different um, social medias forums. Noelle is pissed. Number one, she's pissed that she wasn't told, and then number two, it's like there's a person missing. Why are we not looking for them? So I agree with her 100% too. By the way, she says she left the ashram today due to this situation and can confirm they were not telling guests about what was going on or organizing any search efforts. I arrived on Saturday, found out when someone back home sent me an article about it on Monday. They had only released a statement and spoken to police until last night's Instagram report, which went up after Noelle told them they knew about the missing person and was cutting their trip short. They tend to avoid alarmism or anything that would disrupt the peaceful spiritual nature of the facility, but it's a lack of transparency. This lack of transparency or concern is next level wrong. The evening activity ended at 10 p.m. Taylor did not show up for the 6 a.m. meeting. The boat operator I spoke with when I left has no record of her leaving the island by boat, so she must have walked down the beach after 10. They've always advised the guests not to walk the beach after dark for safety reasons and discourage leaving the ashram at all during your stay. So in fact, they're telling you don't leave, just everything that you need to do here. But of course, if you're unhappy there, then you might decide that it's better to walk off. If that is true. Let me find where she stopped. There's nothing stopping you from leaving or security preventing others from walking into the facility. Again, we watched Brian Enton, who is not a guest at this resort. He is a reporter who's just there looking for Taylor. They let him just walk in. Now, again, I'm not saying he's dangerous or anything, but if he could just walk in, so could anybody else. I have always been a big supporter of Sivananda, but the hypocrisy of this community-based organization not rallying in awareness or search efforts is unacceptable. I hope that her real community has spread this news far and wide, that some concerted effort is made to find Taylor. And I agree. This is supposed to be again a community-based hobby. So another person said, this might be her again. She's been very active on all of these social medias. She said, I was at the ashram when Taylor went missing. Maybe they announced it to the TTC students who were in her program, but as a person who was there for the yoga retreat, I had no clue that she went missing on Wednesday. I left on Sunday and didn't know until Monday when another person who was there sent me an article about her missing. Now, here is where this person said they spoke to Taylor. They said, when I spoke to Taylor, not sure what day because the days blend together easily there, she didn't seem to enjoy the program. It wasn't what she expected. There's a heavy focus on Sanskrit and Vedic Hindu knowledge, and there's a lot of homework for TTC students. Generally, they seem disgruntled about it, but grateful for the depth of knowledge by the end of the program. I've been to this ashram multiple times, so each day was business as usual, satsangs at 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. They are usually 2 hours long, and we don't have internet during those times. From 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., we have yoga classes for people in the yoga retreat program. Breakfast at 10 a.m., dinner at 6 p.m. I never really saw Taylor with other people, but made sure to wave to her since our conversation where she talked about having been there for a few weeks. And I asked if she enjoyed the program or felt rejuvenated having been at the ashram for so long, to which she replied, no, she didn't feel that way. I didn't think anything of it because the TTC program is arduous, and over the years, I've heard many complaints about how much work they have to do. I did notice police sirens on the road behind the ashram. Just saw them through the trees on Saturday and didn't know why they were there. Another reason that guests may not have known is that there was a spread of COVID-19 throughout the ashram from Wednesday until the time this writer left. At least 13 people, to this person's knowledge, had COVID and were told to remain in their rooms as the people who practice karma yoga delivered food to their doors. That's all this person knows. This person also goes on to say that they're happy to answer any questions about how the ashram typically runs. As with some of the other posts there, we are discouraged from leaving the ashram after dark. And honestly, with the set things from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., most people get to bed right after because it's late at night, but someone could easily walk from the beach onto the ashram. Or they could also leave the ashram if they wanted to. I don't know if any of this will help, but I hope that she's found because she seemed very sweet. I hope she's found too. As just a mother, just as a mother, I hope she's found. I've got another live stream that I've got to do in about a half an hour. So I'm going to have to end here with Casey. I did it again with Taylor's story. But please, let us keep the awareness going. Let's keep her in our thoughts and our prayers. But let's also do some action. Even if your action is only sharing a Facebook post, a YouTube video, just telling one person about Taylor's story, that you never know how far that will go. It has been my pleasure coming to you today. Good old Houston, Texas. We're going to keep Taylor in our thoughts. We're going to keep Taylor in our prayers. And I am going to end on that note. With all that being said, it has been a blast. And I'll see you in the next one.